IT Subcommittee audio cast test.
Good morning, everybody. Seeing as we have quorum, I think we'll go ahead and start with the meeting. A little too much volume. All right, as we commence, we'll start with the declarations of interest. Seeing as we have none, confirmation of minutes from June 17, 2013. Carried. You want the presentations? And this should be relatively quick today, but we do have a couple of important items to go through. We have a presentation. The first presentation will be Information Technology Services Update.
Chair, I'm sorry, but our CIO is on her way. There was a mix-up in terms of when she thought the meeting started, and she's on her way. So with your permission, is it possible for Donna to start and do that item first?
Absolutely, and as one of my council colleagues pointed out, I did start the meeting a minute early too. So let's start with the Services Ottawa update to begin. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to provide a status update on the Q3 accomplishments and for Service Ottawa program and the activities that are planned from now until year-end. I'd like to introduce the staff that are joining me today for the presentation. On my right, I have Michelle Gregoire, who's the Manager of Knowledge and Web Services. Michelle is the City of Ottawa business owner for Ottawa.ca. And on my left, I'd like to introduce Chris Fulton, who is the Technical Project Manager, who's been working on the design and the development and the implementation of the new functionality of Ottawa.ca as we move forward. As one of our primary and most important channels of access of information and services for the City of Ottawa. So just in terms of the agenda and what we're hoping to do today is I want to highlight what we've been able to accomplish and roll out in Q3. And then speak to specific enhancements that you'll see in Ottawa.ca this week, our redesigned permits, licenses, and application page, which is a precursor to much of the transformation we're doing around that particular service and function within the City of Ottawa, our exciting new online magazine, which we'll talk about in terms of a new vehicle to provide information about city programs, services, and news to residents, and our improved newsroom, which is another function that just improves the way we send out information to people in residents in our community. And then I'd like to talk about other Q3 activities that you'll see roll out from now until the end of the year. So just to recap, in July of this year, due to many of the changes that have been occurring in our city around travel and mobility, we introduced and implemented an improved travel and mobility page on Ottawa.ca. This really set the core infrastructure across the city for us to be able to now pull information in one spot for residents in order to assist them with their travel and mobility in the City of Ottawa as we go through different phases of construction. The solutions and the base allows us to build on current web-based programs and allows us to put a platform and a first kind of format and view and getting residents used to that one page for future enhancements that will start to roll out between now and the end of the year and into 2014. The next piece, which has been another piece of kind of core foundation technology for the city, has been our new online payment of property taxes. So this year we rolled out the ability for residents and businesses to use payment cards, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, and interact online for online payment of their property taxes. This now sets the foundation for us to build on additional payments for residents online in the future as we move into our 2014 plan, where we look at building permits and licenses payments online. And then other Accomplishments in Q3. We've worked hard to improve the Ottawa.ca search functionality. We knew early in the transition to our new Drupal content management framework that residents and councillors and individuals were experiencing difficulty with their web search functionality. We're happy to say that we've been able to make over a 60% improvement in the quality and the relevance of the search results that are now provided through Ottawa.ca, and are seeing that improved recognition through our feedback mechanism on Ottawa.ca. In addition, residents calling 311 will now hear an automated voice rather than a recorded voice when they call 311 to access information. Why that's important for us as a city is in previous times, individuals in the 311 center would have to create that text, would have to have that information translated, and there would be a significant wait time before we were able to advise residents that there had been a delay in response times. For example, this week, when we had a fire alarm at City Hall, we were instantaneously able to put that message on our 311 through an automated in both official languages, so residents knew what was happening at the city and when they could call back and have their calls answered. This allows us to be much more efficient and effective in diverting calls and in providing information that's important to residents. As well, we put in the core infrastructure to allow distributed publishing to happen on Ottawa.ca. What that means is that departments now are not reliant on a developer to publish and post content to Ottawa.ca. Individual departments in real time can update their content on Ottawa.ca under clear guidelines of accessibility and bilingualism and the policies that guide publishing in the City of Ottawa. This allows our website to be current and up to date. As well, in addition, we've implemented or supported the implementation of a new Neighbourhood Connections Office toolkit that was presented to Council earlier in the fall. And while many of these accomplishments have happened, as you know, we implemented a business ambassador service in Q2 of this year. At this point in time, we continue to be implementing that and recognizing some of the service improvements that that business ambassador service has brought. We've exceeded our original target and estimates of who would be involved and interested in using that service by 30 to 40%. Why that's important is the business ambassador service has been the main impetus of dialogue and conversation with the business community, which has allowed us to do many of the changes that you'll see today based on conversations of what was important to businesses through the business ambassador program. So this week, what you will start to see around enhancements to Ottawa.ca is our redesigned permits and licenses and applications page, our new online magazine, and our improved newsroom. And I'll walk through each one so you understand what will start to change this week. So just starting with the business permits and licenses. So through the ambassador program, we realized that, or found out that 72% of businesses said that they look and go to Ottawa.ca for permit and licenses information. And they specifically told us that the most important thing for those businesses was easy to access, visible information about permits and licenses, with hyperlinks where they could access application forms, and links to information about that application process that would support them to go through those processes. They wanted contact information of someone who could guide them through the process, and they wanted a website that had a clear menu and that the optimized query results would be enhanced. So the team, not only through the Business Ambassador Program, but they also reviewed documentation from across North America in terms of services that are provided to businesses. And they did media analytics of multiple websites in terms of how they organize and group and work with their business community to develop this information that's important to local businesses. So what you'll see this week is a redesigned permits, business license, and application page. And in this page, all business permits, business licenses, and application information will be now in one place. Information to find out the cost, who to contact, requirements, and where to apply have now been consolidated into one searchable tool for businesses on our business gateway on Ottawa.ca. What's important about that is that before, information about business licenses and permits was buried on multiple departmental pages, multiple layers down within the website, taking multiple clicks and navigation for individuals to find that information. For each permit now and business application, the user will now be able to search depending on their kind of search of choice. So if we look at the mock-up of the page, so at the very top you'll see that they would have come into this through our business gateway, and they would access the permits and licenses. So on the right-hand side you'll see a gray box, and what that is that is a component that allows us to search. So it allows a resident or a business to go into that particular area. They can search or identify one or multiple categories that they would like to search, or they can search from a keyword. What's important in the search capability is we have done significant work in cleaning up the language and the content of what's searchable, so those searches bring more relevant results to the resident. So you'll see in this particular incident, we've mocked up somebody picking a building permit and license, and it's a building permit to construct. So someone who's looking for a permit and they're renovating a particular facility. And then it would highlight, you'll see in the red box on the left-hand side, the description of what that permit is. And then if they were to click on that permit, it brings them to the next navigation, which allows them to describe or brings out the detail underneath that particular permit. So it allows the approximate cost, which are the applicable fees. So you can see underneath that then there's a hyperlink to all of the fee schedules. The approximate timelines, where now we've pulled the timelines out so people can understand and see, business can see the timeline. And we've added the application form on the top right-hand side, which is a hyperlink which brings them directly to the application form. At this point in time, that application form is a static form. Our next phase of implementation as we move forward into our redesigned permits and licenses will be that permit then becomes an integrated form where that information is collected and passed into the back-end system. As well, we've grouped additional information that may support an individual applying for that permit, and we've also started to group other information that they might be interested in. So the individual can toggle back to the search, and they can search on multiple building permits, and they can search on all. If they're not sure which permit, they can get all that information on permits and licenses. So our hope is that from listening to the business community that we've started to create the first step in our transforming of business licenses and services for residents. We're also working with BizPal in making sure that these connections are connected to the BizPal application as well, so residents will be able to see not only our permits and licenses, but those required from other levels of government. And as we said, this is the first step to really building our transformed permits and licensing process. So in order to do this, it looks like kind of a simple web page. But what's important to understand is that behind the scene, this took significant transformation and working with multiple departments to make sure that these changes were possible. It's not just about creating a consistent template, but it's getting departments to compile, develop, and put their information into a different format that's usable from a client's perspective, and training employees in the departments on how to publish that information, because it will be important for us to make sure that that information is kept up to date by the relevant departments as we move forward. And again, these are the first steps to automating that completely from end to end. The next new component on Ottawa.ca that you'll see this week is the new online magazine. And this we've developed in support with our corporate communications department. And really this is part of delivering on our social media enablement council priority. And why that's important is we really are expanding on the whole concept of our Twitter and our social media feeds out into the community. And really looking at taking that small character that's attached to Twitter and linking it back to one place in the city where residents, businesses, and community organizations and organizations citizens in general can have access to full stories and information about programs, service, and news in the City of Ottawa. We're allowing that information then to be highly shareable, and we'll show how we've made those connections to social media, both media coming in and outwardly, and making it accessible in one place so people can see different perspectives in an accessible format and a bilingual format as well. So if we show you what the page looks like as we move forward, you'll see in the top left-hand side in the top banner, so the tagline is Ottawa City Online, which is linked to our hashtag. And you'll see on the right-hand side at the very top, you'll see two bars, one that says recent and one that says popular. So residents and businesses and individuals can search on most recent media articles or the most popular news articles. The most popular is actually driven using Google Analytics, around the most popular being the numbers of stories that are accessed by residents of interest in the City of Ottawa. That new functionality will allow us to understand the information that people are looking for and respond to additional information and stories about that are of interest to individuals. You'll see on the bottom of that a small little box underneath the three captions that allows people to browse all stories, where people will see a range of media stories that they can access. And then underneath that you'll see a box that says tags. That's what allows us to select particular tags that will be of relevant and interest to residents, so that we can tag and group stories across multiple areas in one place and show those stories. Then you'll see underneath our Twitter feeds, which will be a comprehensive place to see all of our Twitter feeds. And then there will be, you can only see on this mock-up 3, but there will be 5 main stories that will be on the homepage and profile. And then you'll see the small box in the bottom right-hand corner of the first top banner. Those are our social media feeds. So those allow us to, an individual can attach those stories, post those stories to Facebook, attach those to their Twitter accounts, allowing us to have a broader range of access to media stories and for people to share information about city programs and services. The next piece, which is on the same theme of improving information, is our improved newsroom. This was an important change for us. The existing newsroom was built in an old technology that had to be replaced. And the new newsroom allows us to complement our media releases. Before, we would just put out a media release and it would be stagnant text that we would be able to put out. Now we have the ability to attach with a media release photos, reports, different attachments, maps, and even open data. This allows us, when we put out a media release, to really pull a fulsome picture of the story out to individuals and places where they can access multiple information. All of this information will now be transparent and accessible via an RSS feed. What that means is it allows us, rather than having residents having to come to the city website and search our city website, it allows them to sign up for an RSS feed and push that information directly out to users as they're interested, which means open access to city newsroom information to all residents of the City of Ottawa. And accessible allows us to do more flexible filtering, allows us to keep public service announcements and newsroom information for a longer period of time, and improves residents' ability to search on that information to find historical information should they need to. So what does that look like? So you'll see on the left-hand side under the newsroom the ability to have multiple PSAs that are put out. Then you'll see on the right-hand side, so at the very top, connect to our news, the top right-hand box. It's the RSS feed that allows people to connect and allows that information to be pushed to residents. Then you'll see underneath the ability now, and you'll see this is a common functionality, to search either by keyword, if they're looking for a particular news release, or to search by multiple areas of news type, which will allow that search to come, or to search by date. In addition, what it'll allow that to do is, once those filters are applied, it will allow multiple pagination of PSAs. So you will see and be able to have, right back to 2008, public service announcements and news releases that the city has issued. So in addition to the things that we'll be rolling out this week, we've been also working on a variety of other things that will start to roll out from now until the end of the year. The first one is improving the ability to search for recreation and leisure activities online. The impetus of this really came from the older adult plan and the senior summit, where seniors were expressing to the city that it was difficult to find recreation and leisure activities. Although the impetus was from older adults, this functionality will be able to improve search and identification of recreation and leisure activities for multiple age groups. We'll see that roll out between now and the end of the year. As well, which is also a piece of the older adult plan as well, was looking at online application process and reducing the complexity and streamlining the ability to do online volunteer application. Again, you'll start, although that was the impetus from the older adult, you'll see that functionality will support all individuals who are looking for volunteer opportunities in the City of Ottawa. In addition, we've done, just like the business gateway that you started to see today, we've done significant improvements to the older adult information and the older adult portal on ottawa.ca, start to group that information meeting the needs of older adults. As well, we've been consolidating bylaw requests into 311, working at streamlining that process between 311 and the bylaw dispatch and bylaw operations to make sure that that is as efficient as possible in the delivery of those front-end services. We've been implementing and are putting in the new phone technology in revenue to be able to facilitate those calls and the integration and consolidation opportunities and potentials in 2014. We'll be rolling out improvements to our business intelligence, our finance reporting with the integration of finance and payroll, and doing some significant data conversion around BI. And we will be completing a parking policy review, which will look for opportunities to streamline online parking processes that will be part of the program in 2014 to design and implement. So the next steps, the team is working hard in finishing the activities that are from now until year end. And we will in November be presenting the 2014 plan, which will detail the last year of the Service Ottawa program and the planned investments and the planned benefits we plan to present to Council as part of the 2014 budget process. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Donna. I really appreciate this, and there's so much work that's being done in your department. I can't thank you enough. We're moving at light speed, so I'm very happy to see that. Especially when it comes to things like, I think, building permits. I hear time and time again it's always a challenge, and to see the process streamlined is going to be a big plus. The newsroom, I know our media friends will love that, and I love it because it will help me feed my website based on categories instead. That's very helpful. When it comes to the look and feel, we made a decision to go to a Drupal-based platform in the past, most recent couple of years. Have we seen any big benefits? I know myself I've seen them. I can see it when I look at the site and how it's fed, whether it's mobily I can look at it. I've heard from colleagues across the country, FCM board members that have seen our site. They're always questioning what we're doing since we were so leading edge. Have we actually seen benefits more than just being leading edge? Is there concrete examples of what's come out of switching our website to this platform?
Yes, and I'll have Jeff Bumstead, who's joined us, is the manager of the Service Ottawa Enterprise Program Management Office. But really why we went to Drupal was to really look at the value that it can bring in terms of developing and creating component-based architecture. So you'll see the look and feel and the components that we're building in each iteration. We're really building them as reusable components that we can apply as different departments have different needs as they develop the website. And you'll see in most of what we're doing in Service Ottawa is we're trying to create one standard enterprise way for the city to do variety of functions, the website just being one, and then apply it to the unique needs of departments. What that allows us to do is be more efficient in the investments we make in the architecture and to reduce cycle times in terms of development. In terms of specific examples, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff to talk about just where you'll see those components as reusable components as we move forward.
Thank you, Donna. Through Mr. Chair, yes, we have already, although we're still fairly early into the Drupal platform work at the city, we've already seen some significant improvements. As Don mentioned, as we build components, we're always searching for reusability. The search box that was on a few of the screens that you saw today that allows you to search by keyword or sort by specific predefined keywords by date. That is a piece of functionality that is a reusable component that we can reapply across the site. Not only does that save us dollars in development time and effort, it also ensures a very consistent user experience because we're always using the same base technology there. The immigration portal is built on components that we can reuse and reapply. For instance, we're having conversations now about building out a youth portal. It would be based on that same base functionality, which allows us to more quickly and effectively bring technology such as that to market. We're also seeing advantages in how we staff and resource these new capabilities. I think as we also sit down this path, one of our goals was to get on a very standard open platform that we could quickly and easily find resources in the open market at a reasonable price to help us with our work. We're seeing value and benefit there in that when people arrive, they're up to speed, and they can effectively contribute to what we're doing. And another relatively small example, but significant one, is Donna mentioned the RSS feed, which we're building out as part of the newsroom. The older version of the newsroom, that RSS feed wasn't quite up to what the technology standard is for an RSS feed. We were able to basically just acquire a reusable open source component for that RSS feed, build that into our site, and immediately we are meeting the technology standard and will continue to. And there's several others if you'd like more information, but that kind of gives you an idea of where our savings are. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So in layperson's terms, I guess we're saving lots of money by being in this platform. Is that a fair assumption?
The platform and the way that we've been doing definitely has contributed to the efficiency savings that have been part of this program that you'll see as part of the budget process this year and we'll continue to see in 2014.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Kadri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, Ms. Gray, for this presentation this morning. Just coming back to your slide number 3 about improved travel and mobility slide. In that slide, it mentions about traffic disruptions and road closures across the city that you would be putting on the website. Just one comment. Make sure that you involve the seat members in this process because, the events that are being organized around the community also have some, disruption qualities on traffic in the communities.
Can we take that as direction?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. It's my understanding that the information and the data source for the traffic is the same data source that is actually shared and worked with the seat members as part of their permit or as part of their special events process. And but I'll go back and confirm that that is in fact the case, and if there are any additional special events that that they have a vehicle to access that as well.
Thank you for that, Ms. Gray. Just wondering, is there an opportunity on this page to include a separate identification for, for events around the communities rather than just traffic and construction? And that's what I'm looking for and what I'm suggesting, if that's possible. In that way, you do two things. You inform the community of the events that may be happening, as well as inform them about any disruptions that may be happening.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we'd be happy to take that back. And you will see as we move forward as well, an additional tool that we are developing is taking the existing Spotlight calendar and enhancing the Spotlight calendar to make sure that it's inclusive of all events at the City of Ottawa, as well as events that are held by our special event group. And we'll also include that information in one place in a calendar as well. So we'll make sure that it does both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I missed the beginning of it. I just got in from Toronto and the traffic's bad. And also, the traffic thing would have been helpful yesterday afternoon when they had the marathon there. People couldn't get out of the hotel. First on the one on the searching for the recreation, that you can do the search, is that to include being able to search by location? So if somebody only wants to go to one or two different centers in near their area, and the seniors particularly have told me this is important for them, they could say, I only want to know what programs are at the Canada Senior Center, I only want to know what programs are at the Goulburn Recreation, or 2 or 3 places. Is that going to be possible now? Because right now, it's not easy to do that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it will look at location, and we're really excited to also say that we've also included all of the drop-in centers, and that information has not been available to date online for seniors as well.
Okay. And with the building permit applications, one of the things that we don't get told about is if the building permit's given out for somebody to build a house, add a house, whatever, is it going to be publicly available so that we could search even by our own ways? Because people could ask us, what's going on there with that construction? And I haven't a clue, because it's not a site plan. We see the site plans, we see the zoning bylaws and things, but we don't see actual individual building permits. I don't want to have them come to me by email because I'd be inundated. I knew it would, because we get a lot of them. But if there was a place that could go, particularly I'm interested in the infill ones and things, because those are the ones we usually get the questions about. And I just don't know. You've got the permits going to be online, but is the information going to be available online?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have a number of mechanisms to take permit and licensing data and be able to display it in an online format. I'll take that as a takeaway just in terms of the individual permits. I know site plans and site
yeah, those are
plans.
okay. We get all of those.
Yeah. But the individual permits, I'm not sure about that. I'll take that away and let you know.
If somebody's putting addition on the back of their house and the next door neighbor gets uptight about it, if you have to be able to look at it, you could give them the information. That's all. And it does happen. And the last one I had was on, let me just remember where it was now. It's on special, public information things. There's this thing on the front page of the website right now. You click on that for public consultations, but they're not there. If you want to find a consultation on the official plan, which I was trying to find a week ago, you had to search like crazy to find it, and it wasn't really readily available until very recently. And when people told me when I was there, I said, all the sidewalks they're going to build until 2031, this is the only public consultation we're having on it. And yet, it wasn't easy to know that that was going to be the only consultation on site. People are, because they're interested in the transit stuff, but they didn't look down through that transportation master plan as much to see that all the sidewalks are actually listed by street and side, and they weren't there. So is there some, and it's really, really hard to find. Lots of public consultations go on that never get on the website at all, as far as I can tell. I've searched in the engine to find them. I don't find them that way, because they may be about a landfill in the East End or something like that. They may, and these are, I'm talking about city-run ones, I'm not talking about private ones. They may be in there buried somewhere, but on the very front page it says public consultations, click on that. So you click on that, and there's another place that says consultations, you click on that, and last time I looked there were only 2 of them. And they were not, there's lots of other ones I know going on. So can you just take a look at that and see if we can have it? I think what you were saying at the events and thing may handle that, because it will show hopefully all of the events. But it's really, to tell people where the budget consultations are going on, where the other ones are. And of course, when we do our own consultations, I don't know whether there'd be any way that we could at any time in the future get ones that are city councilor driven as opposed to city staff driven, because people do want to have an easy way to find out about these.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So we have created the framework in terms of one place to pull public consultations. So you'll see that ability, like you're saying, that one page. And we'll be looking at different tool sets around in my neighborhood where people can see public consultations, in a calendar where people can see one place in public consultation. I think the piece that, the work that needs to happen is the piece that is part of Council's priority around a public engagement strategy around how we pull that information and use those sites to the most effective use of residents. And I think that piece we will be working closely with the public engagement group to make sure that those tools and the information that gets put on those tools are maximized to the benefit of residents. And I'll take the comments that you said today back to that group to include as part
I'll
of that
just
plan.
give you an example. We're doing meetings, we had some last week, there's some this week, on the official plan. If you go to public consultations on the front page and click on there, it doesn't give you that information. You actually have to go to the official plan section to find it. So people have to search for these things. And it should be, if it says public consultations going on in the next couple of weeks, you should know enough that it should be there. They can scroll down and find, oh, there it is in my area. And they can't right now. Okay?
I agree, and we'll take that back to that group and work to
But I really appreciate it, because I think that
enhance
could be a
those
big step forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and congratulations on the ongoing work to develop the information portal and the website and that kind of stuff. One of the challenges I think we're going to face and continue to face is with the handover of so much information, and we want everything to be open and transparent. One of the challenges I think is people start to drown in information, and so I'm wondering if there are facilities or the ability within our website, as you continue to build it out and deliver it, to look at things that can allow people to hone in on information that's relevant to them and have it delivered to them rather than having go look for it. And I know there's some kind of, genesis stuff of that. Like if I'm on the travel and mobility page, it tells me I can follow, at Ottawa Traffic on Twitter to stay informed. And, certainly I could configure my Twitter client to pop up those messages when it happens. But there's a variety of other things here, Capital, Bixby, traffic cameras, OC Transpo. I'm wondering if you can consider, and I'm using this page simply as an update, maybe it's building permits. Maybe you want to be notified when there's a new building permit issued for whatever reason. Is there a way in which to, wherever possible, on the website when you're presenting information, also present an option for a delivery mechanism for that information? That might be different in different parts of the website.
Through you, Mr. Chair. When we've been looking at Ottawa.ca and thinking about the design as we move forward, that has been one of the key things we've been looking at about how do we simplify and create that one personalized way to access service for residents. And you'll see in 2014, part of what we're proposing as part of the budget is the creation of a My Service Ottawa account. And what that allows an individual to do is to register using their own personal credentials and create a My Service Ottawa account. It will really be the core kind of foundation piece that we're hoping, as we learn more from residents about the types of interactions they have with the city, the types of preferences of access, that we can build that functionality as we go. Initially, what we'll start to do is put those things that we think are most top of mind for residents. So subscriptions, information that people want delivered directly for them in one place that they can register for or deregister for, the ability to track their permits and licenses and to be able to see their status or receive information on permits and licensing, the ability to do PAT and fire permits. And we're hoping to continue to build on that My Service Ottawa account being that personalized delivery of service. But there are other components of the website that actually have that, and maybe I'll hand it over to Jeff to speak to other additional components in addition to the Service Ottawa in 2014.
Sorry, several thrusts we have in place. The one is the gateways that, and Donna referenced a couple of them in her presentation in terms of gathering that common set of information that a business might be interested in, that an older adult might be interested in, and really creating that collection of information so that it is in one place. In addition, the search capabilities that we're putting in place, trying to really tune that search for how people want to use the website, how people look for information. And to that end as well, we also have a series of public engagements planned over 2014 to really engage users of the website in what they would like to see, how they look for information, and how they react to that information, so that we can continue to enhance both the gateways and the search capabilities to really focus on what people need. Another area really is the area of open data, where we're providing as much information as we can in an open data feed, and that really allows the open data community to build out those apps, and the pulse and the kind of the social media connection amongst that community allows them really to provide information in the format that people like to see. So those are some key other areas that we're working on as well. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'm hearing the first piece of it, which is and I think that's where we'll be when you get to the My Service Ottawa piece. So I can customize my landing page on My Service Ottawa to show me information on, public engagement sessions, and I want to see new building permits issued, and I want to see OC Transpo information. But I don't care about road building projects, and I don't care about Parks and Rec stuff. So I think that's where you're headed with the My Service Ottawa piece. The other piece, though, becomes how do you push it out to people? And I know there are, open data. I've seen some of our open data contest participants, and in fact, some of our winners, who have basically gone and grabbed that. There's one, I think it's called OttWatch or something, where I actually use it, where they pull together lobbyist registry in one box, who's registered, the upcoming meetings in another box, and, that kind of thing, which is great. But if I wanted to swap out one of those boxes for, maybe I don't care about the lobbyist registry, but I want to see the latest OC Transpo information in there, I can't do that using, that third-party thing. So what I guess I'm looking for, and certainly I'd have to go to that page before I left the office to see if there was any, OC Transpo disruptions or something. So I guess what I'm looking for is mechanisms, and I'm not asking you to come up with a solution. I'm asking you to kind of keep it in mind. Whatever the new tools are that present themselves over the years to come, constantly look for a way to push the info out that's relevant to people so that they don't have to come to. You can build the best landing page and the most highly customized landing page in the world. Unfortunately, the flaw is it relies on the human to go to that landing page, and that doesn't help them if they are leaving work on a busy Friday afternoon and didn't check the landing page and didn't find out that the bus was going to be detoured or something like that. So look for opportunities to do that as much as you can, I guess is my question, feedback. Thank you.
And just to follow up on that, the My Account feature, I'm quite excited about. I think that's why we went to Drupal. It saved us a lot of money on the development side to be able to create those accounts, and that's our first step, walk before you run. But I do believe, and I know we've had those discussions just in our informal group about alert features within the My Account space as a push message rather than one that you have to go as destination. So I know it's definitely in the discussion phase, but if we can take that as direction, I think that's something that this committee would like to see. Councillor Moffat.
Thanks, Don. I just wondered, did you have a chance to hear what was being discussed at Environment Committee last week in terms of billing and access to bills? I mean, obviously, there's a cost that we throw onto the residents if they request a reprint of the bill. However, if we get, well, I think it all ties into the My Account as far as I know. On that aspect of it, what is the timeline for that? Because we didn't get that answer last week. I don't think the staff that were present at the meeting knew that. It's something that we can. I mean, it's a big win for our residents because we can eliminate a fee and we can provide them a better service. Do you know when we can expect that?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I was auditing the Environment Committee, and the taxation and water bills have been a big customer use area, and we have the My Account framework is the framework that we're planning on building to be able to do that, view, pay, and make account changes to your tax bill and to your water bill online. pending approval in the budget. That will go into the 2014 plan, and we're looking to have that done late Q3 of 2014. That's kind of our high-level planning right now of what we're targeting. We'd be able to confirm that early in the new year as we do our detailed planning after the budget's approved.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you for that again. And I think we're moving so quickly, whether it's we have e-post having our water bills, for example. The problem we have is it's silos, and I think the My Account is a big tie-in, and I'm very excited for it next year. Thank you again for that presentation. We're going to move back to, on that presentation, is it received? Great, thank you. We're going to move back to item number 1, the Information Technology Services presentation. And as we get set up here, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jeannie Bethel, our new CIO here at the City of Ottawa. Bonjour, Jeannie. I'll give the floor to you to say a couple of quick words. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself before the presentation.
This one here? This better? Okay, thank you. So I have to learn the logistics first, I guess. So it is my pleasure to be here today, and again, my apologies to the committee for running late this morning. I think we all face some of the similar situations getting in. I have come here with a wide variety of background, I guess, from both the private and the public sector. I think what really compelled me in terms of working with the City of Ottawa was the opportunity to support and enable the citizens. I'm born and raised in Ottawa. I'm a taxpayer, and of course I had a personal interest as well as a professional interest in being part of some of the exciting work that's being done at the city. So when I had the opportunity to meet with Steve and the panel, it became clear to me that this was a tremendous opportunity, and I felt that the experience I had had both in the private sector as systems engineer and as a management consultant, as well as in the public sector as a CIO and as a vice president, that it could be brought to bear here at the city. So thank you for welcoming me today, Tim. And would you like me to go ahead and start with the presentation then? Okay.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so just as a very quick overview in terms of what we're going to be covering this morning, we had an organizational structure renewal back in February of this year. And my understanding was from many people here that they weren't necessarily familiar with what occurred and why we did it. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and socialize you with what that structure is and what are the different groups and what are they responsible for, so you have a better idea of who's responsible for what in our department. Also, we'll talk about the new business technology plan and some of the highlights there that I'd like you to be aware of. And we have an exciting opportunity in terms of hosting the MISA conference and trade show this year that I'm sure will provide some interesting opportunities for all of you. And we've launched a new service just recently, the Service Center, and I thought I'd give you a high-level overview of those items and then obviously turn over the floor for any questions you may have. Okay. So in terms of the structure itself, as I mentioned, there were some changes made in February last year, and it was basically we wanted to make sure that we used every opportunity possible to improve service to our clients. And when I say clients, I mean both the clients that are internal to the City of Ottawa, so all of the departments here, and also citizens that we serve through those departments and who happen to use our infrastructure and technology. We also wanted to make sure that given everyone has limited resources available to do the work, that those resources were optimized and allocated in the best way possible to support the priorities of the city and our departmental business lines. And of course, the bottom line is to get maximum value for the investments that we do make. So those were the reasons, the rationale behind the restructuring. We recognize that technology continues to be a major enabler to the delivery of programs and services to Canadians, to citizens of the city. And I think the important for us is to see to what degree we can do that as efficiently as possible, as cost-effective as possible, and as optimized as possible. So those were the major reasons behind the restructure. What I have here is showing you the previous organizational structure. This is probably the one you're most familiar with. I'll move forward to the new structure and just highlight some of the changes that we made. You will notice that two particular areas were changed, one around operations, services, and solutions, and the other one around the technology infrastructure. So basically, we've moved from 5 branches within the department down to 4. And we wanted to make sure that we had a clear responsibility between the operational side of the business, which you would experience as the day-to-day access to applications, your devices working, compared to the projects, which are more focused on some of the transformational or new initiatives that the city has agreed to move forward with. And that we have done by separating what you see there as Deirdre Sterling's organization under Operations, Services, and Solutions from the Project Services and Solutions under Elaine Pankey. The information management area, just so that you know, that used to be within this department, has been moved to Rick O'Connor's area in the city clerk's office. My understanding is that is something that is consistent with how other cities in the province work. It was a new environment to me to see that shift, but that's the way it is, and we support it moving forward. So IM is no longer within the CIO's organization. Okay? And moving forward, just to provide you with a very, very brief overview. So when you look at Operations, Services, and Solutions under Deirdre Sterling's organization, that's to continue to keep the business as we have it today within the city running. It's part of what we would call the lights on. So when you come in the morning, the applications that you're used to using, the devices that you're used to using, the internet, the network are all available to you. So frontline services are also included there. The service desk, if you have an issue, you can call the service desk, or sometimes you may call directly to myself or obviously to one of the managers. Technical support and the management and maintenance of all of those devices and applications. So basically anything you use on a day-to-day basis, if it's not working, this is the organization that will be responsible for addressing the issue. The other side of the day-to-day, if you like, or keeping the lights on, is basically what we would consider to be, move to the next one, the technology infrastructure. Now that tends to be what's behind the walls. Those are the servers, those are the actual infrastructure for mobile, for telephones, voicemail, and email. So that's mainly not as close to you. So if you have an issue, it would typically be around an application not working or device not working. But sometimes it may be that we have an issue with a server or with a network. So basically Deirdre's organization, and this is Alain Rochefart's organization, they work very closely together whenever there is an issue that is resolved to make sure that we have all of the areas being assessed in order to be able to identify and resolve an issue. This is the area as well that is responsible for all our data centers, so the security around the data centers. We have data storage, we have major server farms, and the connectivity and the cabling between buildings. As you know, we're in multiple locations, so we need to make sure that the traffic between locations can flow smoothly. So the communications infrastructure is a major component of this area as well. Okay, moving forward, we look at project services and solutions. This is often the area that most people are familiar with because these are the new project and initiatives area. And basically, we look at value and transformation in order to assess the priorities and where our resources should be brought to bear. These initiatives are directly aligned with the strategic plan of the city. That's the process we follow. We will continue to follow that. You have probably heard that there was a new governance process that was put in place that ensured that all of the business areas within the city looked at and considered priorities moving forward to ensure alignment and appropriate priorities. This group, though, also includes groups like the enterprise architecture. So when you look at moving forward, we need to ensure that architecturally we are able to support the business moving forward. Project management, looking at how we're delivering projects, milestones, achievement, utilization of human resources as well as financial resources, performance measurement, and integration services. So that area has basically all of the new initiatives to deliver. Information risk and project management, basically this is looking at security in a major way and the use of corporate data. to make sure that our data is secure and that we observe best practices wherever possible and have collaboration available to us. We work very closely with the Emergency Management Office because we want to make sure that this is where business continuity planning, so if there's a disaster recovery, et cetera, this is the area that is responsible for the planning and the development of those processes to make sure that we are protected. And then we have responsibility to put in place the safeguards required to ensure that environment. This area is also responsible for the Project Management Office. That is basically services that we provide to ensure that we are using best practices with respect to delivering our projects that I mentioned before, and also ensuring that we follow the practices around contract management and standing offers. If you look at the technology plan, it used to be called the 5-year technology roadmap. Well, the reality is our purpose in life is to support the business of the city. We don't stand for technology as a standalone department. The reason is we are here because the city requires technology to deliver on the business that it's in. So therefore, instead of calling it a technology roadmap, we're calling it a business technology plan. So you will see the business priorities and what we're doing as an organization in order to support those priorities. So I think that's the right orientation moving forward, because as I said, we are here to support the business, and any plan, strategic plan, operational plan should reflect that reality. You will see that November 18th, I believe, is the date that will be appended to the next meeting's presentation. So basically, when we're looking there, you'll see all the initiatives. You'll see how we're using information technology to deliver on those initiatives that the city has, as well as the infrastructure that's required to renew and the maintenance to keep the city services vital. Now, one of the things that I want to impress on the committee, if I may, is that oftentimes I've been asked the question, will we ever end? Well, the reality is it's an ongoing loop. As long as you use technology to deliver services, we have to make sure that the infrastructure and the applications are up to date in order to be able to take advantage of some new technologies that you may be interested in, and to ensure that we are as open as possible to our citizens at the same time. So it's a never-ending loop. You will always see renewal, you will always see maintenance, and you will always see new initiatives. What we'll see moving forward, and we're already starting to see it now, is an ever-increasing demand for technology support of new initiatives, because we're seeing that most business initiatives that any department has and nowadays requires some measure of technology to deliver that initiative. So we will table that at the IT subcommittee meeting on November 18th as a supplemental. So you will see it then in its new orientation. An exciting point, I mentioned it to Tim when we met, we are hosting, the city is hosting the 2014 Municipal Information Systems Association. Now you know why we call it MISA for short. It's an annual conference and trade show, and it's being held in June at the Ottawa Convention Centre. We have a team of folks in my department working on that. It's not open to the public. It is to IT delegates from across Ontario, but you'll see we'll have anywhere from 450 to 650 delegates here. And we will have anywhere from 60 to 100 vendors at the trade show. So it is a major undertaking for us. It's also a major opportunity we'll be looking for your assistance and profile in some of these events. But we're really looking forward to this because it is a tremendous opportunity for the city to showcase itself and also to be open to a number of delegates. What we learn there is what's going on in municipalities and other areas, and can we leverage some of those lessons learned and share information between our different municipalities. So that you know, the cost of this trade show is borne by the registration fees that the participants pay to attend. We do have vendors and sponsors for the event as well. So the cost to the city is in the time spent by our staff to actually host this initiative. There's no additional cost to the city other than our time. We have a theme so that you know if you wanted to start talking about this conference in some of your venues. The theme is transforming the client experience. We felt that that would reflect well both from a residents' perspective, the client experience that the residents have, as well as our internal departmental clients. And our local charity. Every year, the MISA Foundation, the MISA Conference has a charity that they donate the funds from, and ours is the Children's Hospital. We're looking at potentially having little bears available to kind of continue to highlight the fact that we're going to be heavily involved in this initiative. There's going to be things like golf tournaments, there'll be tours, there'll be themed dinners for delegates to help raise funds for charity. So I'm sure there will be a number of opportunities there if some of you are interested in being around, available, or speaking at some of these events. In terms of one of the new services we just launched on September 3rd, we were very excited about this. I hope that you may have heard about it. The intention here is to continue to improve the service that our department delivers to our clients. And what we decided to do was to have an IT service center available. It's at 100 Constellation. And people can come in and either use the online service or use a walk-in service. But the idea here is that we have a lot of mobile workers, and we expect we'll continue to have more and more mobile workers. If they have any problems with their technology, they can drop in and actually speak with a person there and talk about addressing and resolving the issues that they have right there at the service center. It's on the first floor at Constellation. There's also an online component of this that will allow you to look at, view, and update any of your service requests and understand and know what the progress is. And you use the Ozone site to do that. So a lot more self-service. Instead of having to place another call, you can just go online and check, or you can walk in with your device and speak to an individual there who has all the tools available to help you resolve the issue that you may have. We're really excited about this service. We're going to track utilization and hopefully have an opportunity to report back on how it's being used and some of the comments we're receiving from this new service. So that's the presentation for this morning. I'll throw it open for questions.
Wow, thank you. There's quite a bit going on. As a former enterprise architect myself in my previous life, I can really appreciate all the work that's being done, especially on the reorganization front. I mean, back even 10 years ago, IT was treated as network cables and hardware. Now we're part of the organization, and we have to go across a whole series of verticals to be able to make that happen. And there's a lot of benefits to that. I really do appreciate the new organization, working with other areas that we haven't before is going to, I mean, obviously purchasing power-wise, it's going to save us money, and that's and resources, which is the big focus here. How can we better use the resources we have? Another quick note, I noted MISA. I was very excited when I heard about this. Unlike GTEC, which covers a lot of different things, that really doesn't apply to us. This is us. This is everything that municipalities use, if people don't know. So I got my propeller hat ready. I'm quite excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not only that, we're actually seen as leaders. Like I mentioned last year, I went to the Digital Cities Symposium. I got to present there. We were one of 13 cities. People are recognizing that we've moved up to the top of the food chain now. We're doing quite well, and that's all in part to the staff here, so thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Do you have any questions? Seeing as there's none, can we receive that report? Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we just have to, we have the 2013 Services Ottawa program status update just to be received. Received? Thank you. Any notices of motion? Inquiries? Seeing as there's none, adjournment and any other business? Sorry, I'm hopping around the screen here. My bad. Adjournment? Great, thank you.